Hey, you. Yeah, you. Welcome to the Malaka podcast. Weed, part two. Well, for those of you who enjoyed the last podcast of the first weed, I guess you can call it, I didn't smoke weed for 4 years and decided that podcast I would, partake in a little bit of weed as I do it. This one, I am completely 100% sober. And it also proves that weed is not addictive. If you can go 4 years without smoking it, I'm pretty sure I've proven my theory. But this podcast, we're going to talk about a friend of mine. A friend of mine who worked at a distillery and had a very good story. This person shall remain nameless, for legal purposes, of course. And for those of you who live in the Toronto, Ontario, Canada area, a lot of dispensaries now are being shut down. Why? Because there's some rule where you have to have a little thing called a license. That kind of helps. But apparently, a lot of these places can get their license as soon as April 2019. So let's see what happens. Until then, you're going to have to deal with ordering weed from the government, going through that process, which I'm told is a real pain in the ass because they've already ran out of weed, which I can't believe they didn't anticipate for this problem before. But it's the government. Things always get a little bit slower, but at the same time, eventually you will get your weed by the year 2020. So have faith. I'm sure it'll be just as potent. Until then, there's always a neighbor, a random high school kid, or an old retiree from the army, who can tell you great World War II stories that you can probably get your weed off of. So don't worry, there's other ways out there to get your fix. But like I was saying, this story involves my friends working at a distillery. And this is how it goes. It started off a beautiful sunny day. Actually, I'm told it was quite cloudy and it looked like it was going to rain. So was that a sign of things to come? Who knows? So he goes in there, starts to shift off normally. Now you got to understand, when you're in a distillery, there's basically 3 rooms. There's one main room, it's like a lobby. Think of it like before you go to the dentist, there's some chairs, a desk, there's a magazine there, from 2006, something you can read. Hopefully there's a Where's Waldo book, I always enjoyed reading those. And you just hang out there, or you can go in there and purchase some marijuana. Now, a lot of people are thinking, what do you need to purchase marijuana? Do you need to have a card from the government? Do you need to actually have money? Like what is involved? Well, as my friend described to me at this particular store, all you have to do is go in there, you register, and they ask you a bunch of questions, basic questions, your name, your age, where you're from, your email, your phone number, and certain questions like, why do you need marijuana? What do you suffer from? Do you prefer this kind, that kind? Are you particular to edibles? Are you looking for something specific? These very simple questions. And that's all it takes. I was surprised too. I didn't think it involved this much, little effort, I guess. And then after you're filling in all this stuff, which, by the way, a lot of people always had a problem with for some reason, my friend told me. He said a lot of people would always give him back the form and would always miss like 3-4 questions. Now, considering there's only 10 questions on there. 5 of them are just your information, that you should know yourself. My friend actually told me that one person tried to fill out a form and he didn't know how to spell his own last name. Let me repeat that. Someone came in there to purchase marijuana and had no idea how to spell their last name. Which really gives you an idea of how much weed a person can actually smoke in a lifetime. And then forgetting a bunch of shit. But anyways, we're living in a weird world. Anyways, so he would just tell them, look, what do you suffer from? Do you suffer from insomnia? Do you have panic attacks? Are you afraid of blue walls at 3 a.m.? Write anything. Just, he would always say, I'm not part of this. Just do what you got to do. And then they would just write it down. And then afterwards they would, see the ID that the person had, something with a photo, obviously. And then they would give them a shiny new plastic card. And they would tell them, as soon as you come in the place next time, just show your card, and that's it. It's that easy. You go to the one door, you push the, I guess you can call it a doorbell, and then you wait for the click, and you go through the door, and now you're into the second room. Now the second room, I'll be honest with you, I've been told it's nothing special. You go in there, you see all the different kinds of weeds, and that's it. You pick out what you want. There's some rolling papers. That's it. What's kind of surprising though is I was told that you're not allowed to sell things like blunt wraps or anything tobacco, because technically tobacco is a whole different ballgame. It's a different license, so you can't do that. You can't sell, other stuff like hash, or, although hash is part of the weed family, you can't do it. It's under another, column of whatever the fuck. You can't do it. So, yeah, it's like basically going to Mickey D's and looking at a menu. Okay, I'll take one of these, and a side of this, and that's it, I remember weed when I was growing up being a lot cheaper. Like, he was describing some of the prices to me. I mean, I guess it's, the way it's grown now, wherever their supplier is, I don't know where they get it. Who knows? But, I'm assuming now it's a way bigger process to grow weed. And yeah, it's definitely way more expensive. I mean, I remember when a dime was $10. We called it a dime because, it's 10 bucks. It's that simple. Now it could cost anywhere between 10 to 15 bucks, depending on the strain. So, yeah, and they ask you things like, well, do you prefer indica or sativa, or do you want something that'll knock your ass out, or, make you party till 5 a.m. listening to Coldplay, whatever. It's cool, They're just there to help you. They just want to make the quick sale, and that's it. Now, the third room is always the most important room, because that's where they keep all their stuff. Keep the weed and these big ass safes that you'd see in a movie or something, and that's where all the business is held. So it boils down to 3 rooms. Now, my friend walked in there that day, just wanting to do a simple shift, just watch the front and just relax, have some jokes with the people, tell them, oh, I'm sorry, we're all out of weed. No, I'm just kidding, A lot of people find that funny. A lot of people will freak out when you tell them that. So be careful with that joke. But anyways, so, it was a very busy day, he told me. And, it was just one after another. A lot of times you get a breather between people, just get to relax. But Unfortunately, it wasn't like that. It was just one after another, and it was kind of weird, actually. He found it to be out of the ordinary, like even for the beginning of a shift, so like, all right, whatever, I'll just keep going with it. And a half hour goes by, and everyone's like, oh my God, I'm surprised you guys haven't been shut down, and this place down the street got shut down from you, and when are you guys gonna get shut down, and you guys worried, like, I don't know, just relax. Everything's under control. And then the door opens, and who comes in? 4 police officers, 4 DEA officers, people dressed in their bulletproof vests, and all dressed in black. They're there for business. They look at my buddy and they go, hey, how's it going? My buddy knows, okay, this is it. This was gonna happen once weed was legalized. Eventually shops like this would get shut down if they weren't licensed. He was told that they were licensed, but clearly they're not. Either that, or this could be a test, or who knows. So they come in, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? Clearly he knows what's going on. My buddy knew what was going on. They just wanted to go inside, see what's going on. So when my buddy has to even go inside and take a simple thing like a piss, he still has to ring the doorbell as well. There's no magic key that he has. There's no secret door, he just slides into, and there's a tube underneath the desk and he gets to be Batman. No, it doesn't work like that. He has to buzz like everybody else. But the police officers didn't understand that. They thought they were giving him a hard time because they thought he was giving them a hard time. So he's like, all right, guys, all you have to do is buzz and you just wait for someone to come in. And of course, the monitors that my buddy had there, they weren't the best. I'm one of these people, I'm not a big fan of Apple products. I'm not going to lie. I bought a video iPod years ago, and trying to figure out the format and iTunes, and I just wasted an entire weekend. And after that, I just said, fuck Apple products. I can't do this shit anymore. It is what it is. Maybe they've improved over the years. I don't care. I got a Samsung phone. I think it's awesome. So, but my buddy just had to put up with it. He didn't mind Apple products. So the reason why I'm saying this is because at one point the computer froze, and of course it freezes right when the cops are there. Now the cops are thinking, why is it freezing? Like, did you do this? Are you, trying to give us a hard time? And the one woman said, well, why is the computer frozen? And the other guy's like, don't be an asshole, just open the door. And my friend is like, look, again, you just have to wait. He's like, man, don't make us ram down the door. He had one of those metal rams, whatever, that you can, hold with 2 hands. And he's like, all right, we're going to have to break down the door. And my buddy's like, yeah, listen, I don't really give a shit. I'm just here, whatever. I'm not part of this. Just do what you got to do. So it's like, all right, cool. So they end up breaking down the door. There's, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 customers in there. Of course, they're all pissed off because, they're a couple seconds away, from getting all Mary Janed. And, they're asked to go. And, and then, my friend told me that originally when he came in there was 4 people that were staffed in there. And then when he went in there, because he was asked to go in there, there was only 2. So, clearly some people, took off, Speedy Gonzalez style. And, way way to take one for the team. But anyways, yeah. But my buddy stood there, and he had nothing to hide. So he's there just, chilling with the other two guys that were left. Now, the two guys that were left, one guy seemed to be the manager in charge, and the other guy, my friend, said that he never saw him there before. It was just some maybe random guy that was filling in for another guy. Maybe it was the other guy's buddy. Who knows? He seemed like he was just having fun the whole shift. So, kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of type. So, cops are there. They're searching all over the place, looking for weed. And, they didn't have to obviously search very long. Picture going to a jewelry store and trying to find jewelry. All you got to do is look down in the case and, whoop, there it is. So, they were just slowly searching through everything. And keep in mind, at the same time, the doors were closed in the front and back. And people in the front, they just kept banging on the glass. They were just wondering, hey, you guys closed? Hey, what's going on? People really love the sticky icky. I mean, they just really wanted their weed. They didn't care. So, yeah, and then at one point my buddy looks just outside the door there. He sees what seems to be a professional camera, so maybe they're taping it for the news. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's number one story in many ways over the last, couple weeks, because nobody really knows what's going on yet. I mean, people know, okay, you can, it's being treated like alcohol, but, a lot of people just assume that these shops would be open. Including my buddy, and it seems like everybody was wrong. So, anyways, so the cops have, the two guys and my buddy there, and, they're just chilling. The cops are just looking around, whatever. And, my buddy overhears the two guys, talking at the same time. I mean, they seem pretty, I don't know, pretty relaxed. So is my buddy, I mean, again, like he was coached, and he knew nothing would really happen to him. It's not like he's got the deed to the store or anything. So, he just had to sit there and ride it out. And he's just listening to the two of the guys that work there. I mean, they're just like cracking jokes. And the one guy there, the happy-go-lucky guy, like I was saying, at one point, like he actually asked the officers. He said, "Listen, the weed that is on the desk, it's technically purchased from a customer. So technically, is that still up for grabs? Like, can I, like he's almost implying, I don't think he's aware of the seriousness in this situation. I mean, like everyone's like wondering like if they're going to be fined or whatever. He's worried about if he can get some free weed out of this. So I don't think his priorities were really in check here. So anyways, and then at one point the two guys go, like they both stayed because they wanted to, look like heroes or something. And, I don't know, guys, if you're going to get a raise out of this. I mean, but my buddy just found this really funny. And, the one guy's like, yeah, I'm going to stay here, and take one for the team. And then the other, happy-go-lucky guy says, oh, yeah, I did the same thing, man. Yeah. They're like high-fiving each other and everything. And my buddy is just sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, let's just get the fuck out of here, But anyways, so... they're, asking them all the information, what's your name, blah, 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 whatever. And they ask my buddy, my buddy, says everything there, At one point, my buddy was curious and just thinking, like what's going to happen now? And, the officers just kept saying, like, it's not, a criminal offense. It's just one of those things where, they just have to... check everything, and they're doing this with all the stores that shouldn't be open, and it's just procedure. That's all. So now, here's the weird thing. Now, clearly, again, it's not a criminal offense, whatever. Just I tell people this all the time. I know a lot of cops are cool. A lot of cops can be dicks. In the end, just be honest with them, because in the end, they can always check your information, and they're always gonna know the truth in the end. So the one guy who's in charge, my buddy is just sitting on the one end of the room, and he's on the other. He's being interviewed, and the cops ask him like what his name is, and it's just like he's my buddy says apparently he just made up some weird name like Lucaza, Lubaza, whatever. Just made up some weird ass name. And my buddy's like, I'm pretty sure I know what his name is, and that's not his name. He's just thinking this in his head, like, well, what the fuck's he doing? And then, at one point he asked him for his ID. He says, oh, I don't carry my ID. He says, and then the cops are like, why not? Well, for situations like this. It's like, really, man? So they're going on and on for a couple minutes, and they're like, they check his information, that they gave him, nothing comes back, so obviously he's lying. My buddy knows he's lying. Everybody in the room knows he's lying, and it's like, dude, just fess up already, what are you doing? Even the cops are like, dude, don't do this, don't act like this, whatever, and then finally, he comes clean. He's like, okay, officers, I'm sorry for yelling at you, and sorry for, well, he didn't yell, but he was like, whatever, kind of, whatever, just lying, and, it's just like I said before, just don't lie, you know what I mean? There's no point, we're just, you're just going to stall it out for everybody, and, there's no point. So then finally he gives him, the right information, and, it's just, it's just funny. I don't know, my buddy told me he made up some, weird name, I don't know, something it sounded like a Black Panther character or something, I don't know, but, yeah, so he, stalled that out for a while, and it wasn't good. It made him even more pissed. And then there was 4 cops there. And my buddy described it as there's one guy that was older. There was the typical one angry cop. There was a female cop there, and then there was a guy who. I don't know, he seemed like maybe a southerner or something like that. I don't know, whatever. But, but the one guy there that was really angry, it's that typical stereotyped angry cop, and, he could turn it off and on. I mean, he was cool at one moment, then he was really pissed off at one moment, I mean, maybe that was his strategy or whatever, but, this is a funny part too. My buddy told me as he was being interviewed for all his information, he had a hat on that said cocaine and caviar. And my buddy made a comment saying, the irony in your hat is just awesome, and he didn't laugh at that. He kind of just and, and he was even saying, the cop, he was saying that, they don't even deal with weed like this. I mean, weed to them is really nothing. I mean, obviously, at one point it was a big deal. Now it's still sort of a big deal, I guess. I mean, I don't know, who knows? Again, but he says his department deals with more heroin and cocaine, and so I guess, I mean, the guy had somewhat of a sense of humor if he's wearing a hat like that. I mean, I was just curious, where would you get a hat like that? And apparently it's a whole company there, that makes these hats, and they have other ones like gold and champagne and all this shit, whatever. So, I mean, okay, so the guy had a good sense of humor, so that's good. Okay. So, my buddy's there, they're, still waiting around, they're still searching stuff, they're going through all the cabinets, they're the one officer says to the other officer, okay, should we take this weed? Yes, take this weed. They saw the, some like wraps there. They're like, hey, we take this. Yes, we take this. Apparently, my buddy said that they had these like kind of pipes that have like CO2 in them, and I'm like even in my, like again, like this is just me. Like me back in the day, I was smoking weed. I was just use zigzags or whatever. Now people are using like pipes with CO2 in them. I'm like, this is like some nuclear shit, man. Like what's going on? So they had to take those because I think technically those are illegal or something like that, and there's a whole thing there, and and then they're. And again, like the one dude there who's in charge, like they just want to go through the safe in the back. He doesn't know the combination. He's trying to reach people saying, I don't know. And then like the cop's like, look, like you don't know your own boss. I don't know. I don't know. It's a whole thing he's doing, whatever. Taking one for the team, I guess again or whatever. And it's just like, dude, just give them the combo. Let's be done with this. It's either that or they're gonna like solder it. Like whatever. I mean, the thing, like either way, they're gonna get it. You know what I mean? If they have to take the whole safe with them, they will. If you ever see Robert De Niro in the movie The Score, I mean, yes, any safe can be broken into. So, great movie, by the way. If you have a chance, see it. But yeah, eventually they will get into it. So just give him the combo. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. The guy I dealt with before, I think he quit, and I think I have his number. And there's a whole fucking thing there. So my buddy's just sitting there, just like whatever, okay, whatever. So, and here's a real funny part. Now, I don't watch The Walking Dead. I watched like the first episode of The Walking Dead. I don't know. I find it kind of boring, but But anyways, the reason why I bring this up is because my buddy told me that the one older officer went in the room, and there's like this little office, I guess, whatever. It's only like, I don't know, whatever, 10 by 12, whatever. And he goes in there, and what does he find? He finds a huge bat, and at the end of the bat is all these spikes and nails. And apparently, like, he kept making that reference from The Walking Dead where a bunch of people like got killed in one scene, and like the guy's got a bat, and my buddy said it just was like the size of like a Conan sword, but instead it was just like a wooden bat with all these like spikes and nails at the end of it, and my buddy's like, holy shit, like why the fuck do we have this? You know what I mean? Like this is some like medieval time shit. I thought for sure the guy, I mean, maybe they did, maybe they'll eventually get charged with, that weapon or whatever, but, I'm just thinking to myself, like, and they just had it like out in the open there in the office. And it was funny too, because the one guy in the office, he was in charge, and the other guy who runs the shop, he said that he told him like, we should never touch that, don't get our fingerprints on it. And my buddy's like, holy shit, like this is just crazy. So yeah, just in case the shop had to deal with some zombies, I guess. I mean, we were pretty fully prepared. So so in the end there, I mean, they're searching everything, they're gathering up everything, of course they got the cars in the back there, they're loading up all the evidence, whatever. And what really pissed off the one guy that was in charge there was we were all just sitting against the wall, and they were gathering money, and they were saying, okay, is there a safe for this? Like, no, it's all here, and then there's a certain safe for this one, and then like the one female officer was like, okay, well, because you lied to me about your name, I'm gonna take your tips. And he was really pissed off about that. So and then the rest of the time we were just sitting there, like he was just really pissed off sitting there, and the other guy, like happy-go-lucky, like he was just like making a bunch of jokes. And at one point the guy in charge just got like really mad at him. He goes, dude, shut the fuck up, I don't want to hear you right now, okay? Like he was just so mad he lost his tips, But it's like, what do you expect, man? I mean, you lied to the cops. I mean, like, just, tell him your name. Like, what are you going to do? Like, so, yeah. And the whole time, my buddy was like, you know what? am I going to get charged? And at one point, my buddy described it as like, remember the scene in Scarface where, he kills the two dudes in the back there, and then, Manny's like, what about Ernie? You know? And, so, my buddy's like, Ernie. He's like, shit, am I going to get, am I going to get mine too or whatever? Because the two dudes, they got like hit with, court order dates and whatever, and the female cop's talking to the older cop there, and and he says no, he's cool, just let him go. And he looked at my buddy, and my buddy just kind of gave him a quick like thanks, whatever, for not charging me, whatever. And my buddy was lucky. He didn't get charged, so the cops were cool in that. And, they knew he was just there for protection, whatever. And, like everybody had to, leave out the back, obviously. And, that's what happened, so it's a weird world we're living in now, and at one point, like even my buddy asked, like, and I was kind of wondering this too, like even before I asked my buddy, but even my buddy brought this up, and like he asked one of the cops, he says, so if weed is legal, why aren't like these shops like able to sell? And like, okay, he said technically because it's, licensed and all that, but it's like, why wouldn't the government work out all this before? So you're telling me something's legal in October, but then best case scenario, you can still get your license in April. And why wouldn't they just deal with this shit now? And like even the one cop was like, I don't know, man, it's a pain in the ass. We're still learning as we're going along, and yeah, it's very confusing. I mean, is weed really this big of a deal? I mean, really? I mean, like, you go to the LCBO, you get some booze. Okay, like I get that that's government owned, licensed and all that. But, once, all these stores get licensed and everything, like it shouldn't be a big deal, right? So, I don't know. I think in the end here, with weed, like we're just making this a way bigger deal than it has to be, and even the government, like I said before, now they're selling it online, and it doesn't seem like they know what they're doing. Like people are not getting their orders. They can't even get through on the phone, and it should not be a big deal to purchase weed. Like it should not be this much of a hassle. It should be so much easier to purchase the marijuana that we all know and love. I'm assuming by at least 2050, worst case scenario, then I'm going to go to a magical store where I can buy my groceries, my alcohol, and weed.